Welcome everybody to the Q2 report of 2022. My name is Schuil, co-founder and CEO of Safello.
And my name is Johan Edin, CFO of Safello.
Let's go to the presentation. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. You can leave your questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. Or you can just simply wait for the Q&A. So, presenting the Q2 2022 financials. Key events in Q2 2022. We completed the audit, which was a pretty long process starting back in 2021. We essentially cleared the audit with some minor remarks, but it was basically finalized. So it was a great success for Safello. Obviously, we've been investing a lot in compliance and our AML procedures over the years, and this is a validation for the work that we've been doing and clears the route for the coming time to focus on the business and the operations, as opposed to the audit, which obviously can be quite a distraction with the inquiries from a regulator. The LOI with Avanza was terminated. We had the LOI signed to do a collaboration. They wanted to see the MiCA regulation come into effect first, which is understandable. For us, as we put in a report, this simply puts a timeline on it on our perspective on crypto as a service. We feel still very strongly that there is a great use case there, but certainly the Swedish financial institutions are going to likely follow Avanza suit and hold off until the actual draft, at least for MiCA, is finalized. And quite possibly until it's completely in effect in around 2024. So for us, that means essentially an opportunity to continue to grow on a retail product where we actually don't expect any real competition from the financial institutions in Sweden or wider Nordic area. So we already have 2.5%, more than 2.5% of the Swedish population, and we hope to continue to expand that user base. And actually strengthen the relationship with that user base in order to grow organically our crypto products. And then we focused on cost savings. So we actually looked at the macro environment, of course, and I think we've held up relatively really well. We have a slide on that in a short, a couple of slides later. But we did think it was a great opportunity to move in this environment to organic growth and really focus on moving with a path towards profitability, which we had in 2019, and it's a position of strength that we like to reduce the burn rate and then have control over our own outcome essentially as a business, as opposed to being reliant on additional investment capital in order to grow the business organically. So those are the key events. If we look at a growth, especially considering the down market, we've seen a very healthy continuation of growth to 81,000 users. So it's a little over 2.5% of the Swedish population. We have 750,000 orders in total completed, and we're inching towards 2 billion SEK in total lifetime value. Visualizing that again, you can see that the overall trend, there is a little bit of a slowdown in the last quarter, but generally we're still maintaining the same levels really well. And the real uptrend isn't necessarily broken yet, which I think in Q4, Q3, obviously we're going to see whether this trend continues. The macro picture for our crypto has recovered somewhat, obviously, since the summer, which is always slow. And I think we'll be very curious to see what happens in September with the merge of Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake, and then how the wider crypto economy responds, as well as what the ECB is going to do with the interest rates and the Fed, which I think is also set for September. So that's going to be the primary drivers. For us, the key objective, as I mentioned, is a path towards profitability. It's a very comfortable position to be in, which we've had in the past, from which we preserve any type of optionality on how we want to move the business forward. In terms of that path, we took two major steps for Safello. One is obviously the reduction in cost. Major reductions were on HR, but also on the COGS, the SG&A. Some of those terminations that we did are finalized in Q4, which is why we still expect the burn rate to fall in line with those projections if we don't, put the pedal to the metal again. But as we stand here now, we probably want to be on a slow hiring and instead go for those cost savings, so we move towards profitability. The other thing that really contributed and will continue to contribute towards a path to profitability is withdrawal fees. So we introduced them just before summer, and we see that it's a significant portion of our revenue that we instantly were able to increase. So the combination of that increased revenue, this new revenue stream of withdrawal fees, in line with in combination with the cost savings, if the market turned around, could put us in this path to profitability by end of Q4, maybe Q1. But of course, we would know certainties there. But those are the leading parts on like the baseline changes that we made. And of course, on top of that, we're looking at further, driving product innovation on our retail product, but also looking for new product development as we've done in the past. And the third one is a little bit in line with my statement of the stance of the financial institutions in Sweden. We actually want to focus more of attention on the user. So we build the long-term relation and customer relationship with the crypto users, as opposed to waiting for other financial institutions to try to enter that market. So that moves us a little bit closer to I'm not going to say crypto bank, but at least being the de facto platform for retail consumers in Sweden and potentially beyond, to have a lifetime value that extends over many years, as we already have today, and what we've seen, for instance, in 2013, 14, 15, 16, where users came back in 2017. That lifetime value is already quite long, but we wanted to see what else we can do, and that we can ensure that not only are we not moving to other platforms that might emerge and from existing financial institutions or maybe new players, but also not that our users are tempted to go to international platform. So the retail product innovation will continue to be a strong part of that, and the community focus there will also be important. One part of that is Discord. I think we have to give a shout out to Bliss Labs. I'm saying that right? Blissful Labs. Sorry, Blissful Labs. Kudos to contributing to our Discord and keeping it alive quite a bit. I think we're seeing more engagement there, and we really want to do more things to engage our users aside from the educational content that we already have there as well. We are in the process now, I think, of launching a feature, which I don't think is smart, a price alert, so people will be able to have price alerts in the app real soon. It's currently in testing, so we're trying to find ways to make the app more engaging for end users as well. Then a little bit of market sentiment, I already mentioned it. I think this particular graph on the left bottom is an important one. So the green trend line basically represents the overall crypto market volume data from Block, and the sort of the black volume is the volume that Safello did. So if you see the performance of Safello, aside from 2021, I think it was it's hard to see a quarter here, but I think it was last year where slightly the market outperformed Safello. In general, you can see over the last quarters that Safello has retained its volume relatively better than the decline that the overall market saw. So we're quite positive about that. That there's different behavior, slightly different behavior, and different customer groups that are using our platform, as you can see in the numbers as well. Then generally, like, the trend continues upwards. We're, like, as I said, getting close to 2 billion in total aggregate volume as a company, and we see that the growth in registrations also continues quite steadily. And then if you put a trend line, a number of crypto orders per quarter, that continues sort of an upwards trend line as well, if you look at a longer term perspective. If you zoom out a lot in the right two graphs, it will be more of a hockey stick curve there. So those are my quick comments from my end. I'll hand it over to Johan Edin, our CFO.
Thank you, Frank. So just a brief couple of comments on the financial performance. Our net turnover decreased compared to the second quarter of 2021 by 28% to 146.7 million. It was just about 200 last year. The gross profit decreased in line 27% and was 6.8 million. That was somewhat affected by a recovery of VAT in the holding company or the listed company, but also impacted by lower, by changes in the inventory as the crypto market moved sharply down in Q2. The operating profit before depreciation and amortization, EBITDA, was a negative 6.4 million, and we are, as Frank mentioned, we have implemented cost controls. We've reviewed external costs, and we've streamlined the organization to become more efficient. Also, given the new market environment and the situation that the general market is facing. Operating profit was a negative 12.6, obviously a big number for a company like Safello, but that also includes around 5.2 million of write-downs of the crypto that we hold for as a long-term investment. So that will potentially move up again if the market stays at this level. So we acquired crypto in Q3, I think, last year for around 10 million, and it was valued just shy of 5 million by the end of the quarter. The current value, I believe, if nothing's major changed, is around 6 million on that position at the moment. Cash balance is 24.5 million. We can move to the next slide, I think, actually, to just illustrate. So 24.5 million in cash balance in Q2, at the end of Q2, with the 4.9 million in crypto. That is easy to liquidate, even though the company has no plans to do that. We also hold around 2.5 million of liquidity at our exchanges where we do the trading. So I think as a comment then, with the cost savings that we mentioned, reduction in staff, and also the withdrawal fees that we've implemented, we ideally would like to see that number become increasingly stable over the coming quarters, assuming the market holds up, of course. Mm-hmm. Then on the income statement, I think the only comment there is the 2.2 other operating income, which was VAT recovery for costs we had in 2021. So that's probably to be seen as a one-off. We activated some internal work, 701,000 as well during the quarter for work on crypto as a service, among other things. I think the personnel expenses, then, if nothing major changes, should come down in the coming quarters to bring us to a more healthy EBITDA level. Yeah. Then on the balance sheet, you can see the changes in the cryptocurrency. We had 10.1 as of the year end and 4.9 as of the 30th of June. Just to comment on the rules there, we will mark to market as long as it's lower than the acquisition value. If the crypto were to move above acquisition value, we will again book it at the acquisition value. Mm-hmm. So I think that's it for that slide. And then on the cash flow, just noting that we had a negative cash flow for the period of 3.7 million. So then that includes the activated work for own account. So all in all, I think it was a tough quarter, but I think we're moving in a good direction, and we've taken measures to ensure that we are in a better position going forward. I think those are my comments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this still is quite, following the seasonality that we see every summer that we've always disclosed also in our prospectus on terms of what we're expecting over summer with a slowdown. I'm gonna go out of this one. I think we can then see the questions going from the top to bottom. Okay, Johan, you weren't visible, I see here, but now I think you are. Okay, starting with Mark Shostet. Thanks for joining. Hello, Frank, Johan, having a few questions, maybe over-level presentation. Okay, one, could you expand a little on your view of crypto as a service offering, especially now when Avanza canceled the LOI because of the crypto downturn? Yeah, I shared my position on that, of course, briefly. I do think crypto as a service still has great potential, but we wanted to, of course, see a larger player jump on it, and use that as a stepping stone to engage in the other conversations. For us, in terms of where we put our effort and where we push the momentum, we're not going to fight the tide. It's clear that large financial institutions that we have been engaged with, and also Avanza, are looking for this regulatory uncertainty, at least from a banking perspective, to clear before they can fully engage. So as far as the product goes, we don't write it off because we think I don't think those competences will exist in 2024 within the bank either. So for us, it's a race to capture as much of the market and do as much land grab on the end user market, and then we will see what kind of demand there is from the financial institutions to engage in this market and see where we can help them. Obviously, Avanza is an example of a financial institution, but we also think there's opportunities in a wider segment, whether it's e-commerce and like large retailers, for instance, that are issuing NFTs to be a custody partner and around things around that. Where with a Safello business product, we already have quite a few companies that, for instance, are engaging in offloading their cryptocurrency to move funds to their bank accounts, where we are the preferred off-ramp for crypto. So I think there are quite a few opportunities ahead in the coming year. This is, of course, a Debbie Downer in terms of this particular LOI, but I think it gave us a very strong viewpoint on what the timeline is for when this engagement is going to activate. And it's very much like what we saw with open banking with PSD2, that when the financial institutions, when the regulation is finally getting in place, there's some work to be done to get ready for it, and then that's the final push to engage in this market. And there might be other ways that the financial institutions can engage if they can keep it more at arm's length, because this was, of course, a pretty direct crypto engagement. So we're also going to look at that. Okay, 2, how are you positioning yourself before MiCA comes into full effect, and what investments are you looking to make to your platform before that? So I think for us, the objective is to be as ready as we can be for the MiCA regulation. We're obviously following the rules as it is, and we're following the AML regulation as it is already today. I think by and large, we are compliant with what we expect MiCA to be. The only thing where we will have to do some work is regarding the travel rule, which is the separate regulation that has also been approved. And there are certain players that have now been growing pretty well that we think we can partner up with, and we will partner up like the likes what we have on the forensic side with Chainalysis. We will partner up with, most likely, with a partner that can facilitate an easy implementation of the travel rule. So I think that is the biggest work in terms of getting ready. And then our ambition will be to be one of the first to be regulated under MiCA. But other than that, we're waiting for the final kind of draft to know exactly what might be the gap and do gap analysis on that. So that's positioning there. How is the talk among Swedish financial when it comes to crypto in general? Has it changed anything over the past years? It is changing. I also do think that even though the LOI didn't materialize in the commercial agreement, I do think it has again changed the conversation around crypto. And it's not like conversations have all died out. We are seeing that the question around crypto is moving back to the board level to change governance framework by which financial institutions might, get themselves ready to engage in crypto. So there's certainly a chance that some things might open up before actually MiCA is in place. But that takes a little bit of a longer time path for most, at least Swedish financial institutions, to make those changes as a policy within their governance structure. So I think it's also in light of what BlackRock did with Coinbase. Again, it's a validation that there is no escaping getting ready and engaging in cryptocurrency as a large financial institution, let's say top 4 bank or any large bank or the likes of Avanza. So it's a matter of when, not if. And we still are positioning to be a partner there if financial institutions need help, and we can help them with accelerating their go-to-market. 4, what kind of FTE positions roles are you reducing in H2 2022? So we're actually not reducing we're not making any more reductions. All of reductions in staff is happening, basically terminated before summer. It's just more that the termination timelines moved it into into like the financials in the second half of the year. So we're not looking to make any more reductions. We obviously grew really quickly after the IPO. We used the cash to grow as we said that we would. And I think that growth has helped us to accelerate some, product innovation and some speed to the market in certain areas. But I would also argue that this cost optimization is quite healthy and has helped us as well to optimize our team for those that that are on are absolutely needed roles and to be able to be on a path to profitability, which I think still is where we want to be and where I think we are comfortable operating also historically, where we're in the happiest spot. So, but we do not expect to make any additional cuts for now. I mean, since we're seeing the withdrawal fees increase, since we're seeing that on a projection basis, if the market continues where it is, we do expect to see it moving to a stabilizing cash position as well, hopefully profitability. Johan, any additional comments for you on that one?
No, it's just a timing issue, but for now we're happy with the way the organization is structured.
Yeah. 5. Good questions from Mark. Always on point. What does the churn look like? Does it fluctuate with downturns, or is it somewhat stable over time? So I think the biggest thing, if you look at the data, is that we see new registrations go down. The recurring, of course, we have some users as well, a monthly recurring basis in the subscription model, is pretty stable. So we actually see it on the recurring basis that it looks more stable than the new users. So yeah, I think also that coming back to community efforts and coming back to our users and what our users want, this will be, I think, a focus area of at least the next couple of quarters to see, can we get deeper into our engagement with our end customer, and hopefully, obviously we want to listen more to what they want, but also make sure that we measure it better and implement the things that can further reduce churn. Where as a platform, a brokerage platform, we're certainly for the vast majority the first entry to crypto, and in many cases that is like a one-time buy. But there is this steady base of recurring revenue that has been going on for a long time, and I think that's also growing in line with the overall growth of the company. So it's relatively pretty stable to each other in terms of how much is recurring versus how much is new, but the overall trend is upwards. 6, how big of an impact do you see the fees for withdrawing having on Q3 and Q4? Johan, I'll take a sip of water.
Thank you. I mean, we haven't really elaborated on that. I think the jury is still out. So far, the response has been positive. So I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out, and if we need to make adjustments to the fee, or so. I would not like to guide with a certain percentage there.
No guidance, but I guess what we can say, which is important, is that so far the addition of the withdrawal fee did not, meaningfully and from what we can tell from the data, impact the interest of our customers to use our product, right? So there's no direct correlation for what we can tell now in the data that has reduced the activity on our platform or reduced sort of the inflow of new users because of the introduction of withdrawal fee. So as far as it stands now, it's just pure additional revenue that we're seeing from withdrawal fees. And we've now introduced that to Bitcoin. Naturally, we also have other platforms, other like cryptocurrencies where we could introduce this to. Question 7, how do you work with onboarding new business customers, and what does the trend look like in Q2? Did the clearance from the SFSA impact companies' decisions? That's a good question. How do you work with onboarding new business customers, and what does the trend look like? Well, so this is, I think maybe I mentioned in the last quarter, but this has been the third iteration of the Safello business. And with every iteration, we've been trying to make it easier. Like, obviously, there's a lot more that we need to request from the end customer to be able to onboard a company. You need to do the ultimate beneficial ownership check. And of course, we will still need to do the same things like proof of crypto and proof of fiat funds when people are depositing or either buying or selling crypto. So it just takes a little bit longer to onboard, but we've really been able to narrow it down, I think, by, if I have to, I don't have the data point by heart, but I believe it's a reduction by several days in onboarding time from what we originally were doing. So we've taken out a huge amount of friction, and we do see that business customer growth is picking up again. So I think as the bull market returns, that we're gonna see an acceleration, hopefully, on the business product as well. With the other one, did the clearance from the SFSA impact companies' decisions? I think primarily what impacted the interest was the update that we did to the business product. But it's hard to say because we did it kind of at the same time with clearing the SFSA audit, so it's hard to say what contributed to it most. But certainly we put out some targets for this when we did the reiteration, and I believe we've hit those targets, or we're even above those targets now. So that's pretty encouraging for the business product. 8, what is the typical feedback? Mark, you're really on a roll today. Awesome. Shit. All right, we'll keep going. This is fun. What is the typical feedback response you receive from business customers? And are there some adjustments to the platform that could have a major impact on the business interest? Well, it used to be that the onboarding process was too tedious and too long, right? So we had cases where we sometimes took weeks to onboard. Now, I think a turnaround time, if all the data is there, could be a day or 2 days if we get the data directly. So that was the biggest friction point, and I do really think we've made a tremendous improvement there. And are there some adjustments to the platform that could have a major impact on the business interest? The other point that I would make, and I'll give you all the chance to answer one too, is that we streamlined the fee structure. So we had too many conversations with companies that want to customize fees. Having this volume-based fee structure is actually proven to be much more beneficial to handle it with a back office point of view. So I think that one was another contributing factor. Going forward, I think I think it's more on the auxiliary services where it can make an impact. So, for instance, taxation, where we have a partnership, but also custody. Custody, for instance, let's say for NFTs, things of that nature could contribute to additional interest on the product. Johan?
No real additions. No, go ahead.
Yeah. And what we're seeing certainly as the main use case right now is that since Safello is the only cryptocurrency company right now left with a Swedish, as far as we know, let us say like that, with a Swedish banking rails, that we are the preferred off-ramp for both like NFT companies and new companies looking to convert, but also the crypto OGs that might get their transfers blocked from large exchanges. So we're seeing that as the primary use case for businesses to at least use as an off ramp, and we see opportunity to have it on the buying side when we're streamlining our custody product. Okay, well, let's see, where am I? I need to go down. No, I need to go up. What does churn look like? How we able to see the fee for drawing? Yeah, we did that. How do we do that? And then we were here. What is the typical feedback of business? And then here, are you going to make it easy to invest in NFTs through your platform? Yes, we are. That's not like, so I think we can comment on that. We're working on, so we had a different hot wallet infrastructure, and we're changing that hot wallet infrastructure to Firebox, which will help with potentially make it easier to invest in NFTs through our platform. It will also help with things like withdrawing and depositing Ethereum, which will then also be able to impact our withdrawal fees on Ethereum, which we currently are not charging. So those are things that at least are enablers for that. Then we'll have to see where in the roadmap that could sit on offering that. Obviously, if you look at our branding, we completed the second stage of our branding, where we've actually moved towards NFTs. We got OpenSea.io/Safello, where we have our own NFTs, and we're becoming a more metaversey / Web3 friendly company. And also we see the demand from business customers where they're either selling NFTs and they might want to host NFTs. So we'll continue to look at that. Next one. Wait, we went to 1.5. I should have started. Could you expand a little in review of the crypto score? Oh, no, near medium terms, but no, okay. Maybe these are repeat questions. Positioning self to, I need to scroll down. What is churn? Okay, here. What staff have you cut and how many are you in the company now? We are right now, I believe, still 29 technically, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we will communicate that in Q3.
Yeah, the precise number.
But we've said that there will be a five people or 5 FTE reduction towards the year end. So, but then there may be an addition. So it's changing.
Exactly. So we were a little bit management heavy where was the cost. So we did reduce on management as well. And other than that, we have reduced in the general operations. I don't think we disclosed in the report exactly the breakdown of that, but that's just to give you an indication. How do you see the fee? Yes. How do you work? I need to go down. Which question? Okay, here. Any plans for expansion beyond Sweden, other Nordic countries? So on the retail side, we still stand by our assessment that we made earlier, that in order to enter any jurisdiction from a retail perspective, effectively, you need to have it hyper-localized and you need to have the baseline functionality to be competitive in that market. Short of those, and for us, we put some parameters on what that looks like. It makes not a lot of sense to push to another country. Now, we do see opportunities in some of the things that we're doing and some of the things that we're working on, not necessarily that we can talk about now, that could be more fitted for an international expansion, which might not necessarily be retail. So the short answer is no immediate plans that we can communicate today, but we obviously are still seeing Safello as an international company, and we see that there are opportunities for international growth. Having said that, I think there's also tremendous growth opportunity in Sweden. Like if we're looking at 2.5% of the population, I think in the coming years we want to see that number go to, a couple of million people being engaged in crypto one way or another, and in different kind of ways. So I think just in Sweden alone, if we're looking at different type of capital that exists in Sweden that might not have any exposure to crypto, beyond retail, there's still a lot to do in Sweden as well. And of course, we want to make sure, first and foremost, that we defend our market leading position here and expand on that market leading position in Sweden. Johan, anything from you?
No, I think you've covered it well.
All right. Mark, sorry, seems like first question did not get removed. The second round is just restatement of the first round. All right. I felt there were like twice as many questions then, but I guess I didn't have to rush through it. Let's see. I think we covered all questions there. Yes. Good questions. Thanks everybody for engaging with us in this stream. I don't see anything else, so I assume that's it. If you have any additional questions, you can find us on our Discord channel. There's a stock channel, just general stock talk. There's also questions to management. Typically, we're fairly quick to answer those. And there's also, I think it's with ir@safello.com if you have more specific shareholder questions. I think that's it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And hope to see you in the earnings call of next quarter. Cheers. Bye.